Hey comrade, I wanted to make this video to talk about a company that I've supported for probably about 20 years now, and through practices and what I witnessed through the years, I kind of wanted to state my opinion about some things, as well as talk about the upcoming UltraSUN and UltraMOON, the upcoming games, Pokemon games that will be coming out on November 17 of 2017. Yeah, first of all, the whole idea of fusion or whatever that is, basically Lunala, for example, being fused with the likes of Necrozma as well as the Sunleo, I don't really like the idea of that designs. Basically, the whole idea of those two Pokemons, they're so colorful in some way. One is very bright and the other one is very dark design, and they bring in the worst color out of them all. Like Necrozma is such a robotic thing, and they like make something that looks... Actually, thinking about it, Pokemon really became robotic looking. Like, look at Zekrom and look at Reshiram. Reshiram had its, it was fluffy to a certain extent, but Reshiram and freaking Kyurem and Kyurem B and then Fusion, Black Kyurem and White Kyurem, it all became very robotic. It all became very mecha, and none of these Pokemon had, I don't know, Steel type in them somehow. But it was really surprising to me that with all these things going on, and now we got this fusion going on, it's like a new direction of Black and White turning spin around with a new generation and making the same ideas over and over and over again. Now, what I appreciate about the Pokemon games is the franchise over the years that I've played these games and become a big fan of. But lately I've lost pretty much all my attention, all my excitement for the competitive scene. Is that how stale it became? Now, the format at the beginning was a dream come true. It was a perfect format for me. You catch Pokemons, you battle against people. It was a little bit of mixture of life combined with the idea of excitement, of exploration, going out there and, getting paid, motivation, becoming the best at the same time. It was... The whole idea would be incredible. I think about that. When you're really young, I was in 6th grade when I played the original game. I started in my room. I mean, you play and you start in your actual room. That is a good psychology start for a game developer. You have to let the person start in the room, because that kind of like, it basically connects them to society that isn't really in real life, but at the same time, they're humans you talk to. You go from town to cities. You gain badges, you beat the experienced ones, the people you admire, and it really boosts up your motivation in continuing in playing these games. Plus, there is an addiction of catching them all, and this elements put together makes up for an incredible experience. Of course, with each experience comes down to expecting more. And as you grow as a developer, as an individual, and for you guys that don't know, me and my friend that's got basically a comic going, and he's got ideas, gaming ideas, lots of cool stuff going on right now. I will be helping him make basically a book text story game. Basically, I'm gonna be programming and helping out. He's got the story, he's got the dialogues, he's got everything going. He's an incredible artist as well. That should be fun. But I'm looking at the ideas of him, and I'm looking at these game developers that had all this influence over the years, and how little did they really risk. I mean, I understand Game Freak. I understand that they don't have to risk, because this game is like a drug. Basically, they give you a drug, and then a year later they give you pretty much the same drug, just with a different color, and maybe with a slightly different taste and effect, just a slight one. Just enough to make you an addict again. But the problem with this stands that once you grow older and once games become stale to a point where you already played this, everything becomes, why am I playing a 10-year-old, by the way? Like, really, I want to relate. You see, when I'm watching anime, I tend to relate to the anime character that represents me the most. Being that I'm a person that knows myself most, or at least I try to know myself in life. As you go through life, you learn more about yourself, what you're looking for. but I like to relate, and if I can see a character that is relatable to me, I tend to be more focused towards watching that anime to the very end and see what happens to that character, what kind of role he's playing, and so forth. So why exactly are we playing a 10-year-old in these games? Now understand that the Pokemon franchise is always going to be looking out for the newest audience. You know, there's going to be new generation coming in, but again, there's so many old schoolers out here that are one of your biggest dedicators, and that been here for generations upon generations upon generations. While I've actually heard, surprisingly enough, that while the first generation was the big generation, the second generation will be loved by pretty much, it will be favored by most, because the perfect ending that was, you know, you face the actual protagonist in the first game, you face it in the second game as your actually antagonist. Well, not an evil one, but still your final boss. And there was perfect text of not talking to you, just like you never talked in your actual original games. That was incredible ending. Like, you don't have to make, you know, something like that. That should have ended there, but it didn't, because it was very sell. It was a huge sell. Everybody had this game, or at least most of the people I know had this game at school, and you know, it was just incredible. But then the third generation came in, and there was a new generation of people coming in. I cannot believe how big the impact was on the third generation. That was the actual generation where the newers were coming in. 2003, I believe, 2004, I believe it was 2003, 2002, somewhere around that level of years that the game was made, and there were so many people going in. But now that I look at things that I risk over the years, and I'm not seeing anything. Like, the graphics have expanded, but let's be honest here, they have to. You know, this is a new console, they had to make 6th generation Pokemon games stand out from the 5th generation. Let's be honest here, you cannot go on a, you know, through the 3DS to the, you know, through the DS to the, you know, basically DS to the 3DS without expanding graphics. Of course they got that knowledge going on, but Game Freak didn't really risk anything else. The battle system is pretty much the same. The whole idea of catching them all is the same. While they did include the trials instead of gym battles, it's not, you know, I really appreciate the trials. Well, honestly, me personally, thinking about it, I kind of like the trials before more. That now that I look back, I think that some trials were too short, and I would kind of like some trainers in them. But generally speaking, trials were nice. They were nice, actually, going against the Pokemon as a boss. I mean, that was a nice idea. I really like that. But I was still kind of like, I don't know. You know what? I don't want to be picky. Honestly, I like the trials. I like the gym battles. Well, I kind of prefer the gym battles right now, thinking about it. But I do appreciate the boss battles. They could have easily have been included even with gym battles going on. But looking at everything now, and looking at the generations that were made before, the big difference that were made were, of course, new Pokemons. But let's forget the new Pokemons. Let's go a little bit further. The stories were never truly spectacular. They were always really just evil, good, or, you know, enslaving and all these things. Just a second, guys. Sorry about that. That was a girl, young customer, buying my blueberries. Yeah, I'm actually selling blueberries that I tend to hunt over the weekend. They actually sell for quite a lot. But anyways, let's go back to the main topic at hand. My God, must I say, what did they truly change? Like, Game Freak as a developer, what did they truly do in these games? And I'm looking at all these things now, and I'm asking myself, yeah, Z moves. So Z moves were kind of cool, and then we got Mega Evolutions, but all these ideas are very, I would kind of appreciate some new battle format going on. You know, I would kind of appreciate something more spontaneous, something that we really cannot predict. And well, and I also think that nowadays gaming trailers tend to showcase a little bit too much for us. Like when we know Pokemon that are about to happen. I mean, internet fucking spoils too much for us. But that's basically our bad. Now, what I can say is that, well, yeah, it's, I don't know. Game Freak, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say, and for you guys that really are a big fan of Game Freak, I understand. You know, they made a franchise that was the best-selling franchise. They don't have to risk, honestly. They're in to gain. Of course, they got families to feed. Of course, they're going to be looking out for their own spend. But this is about the principle of being a creator over the years. And I know it's not the same as it was back before, depending if the team is the same or if it was split up and, you know, there are other people going in. Probably some of them were fired or, you know, replaced, or who knows what happens. I don't really follow names that are in the credits most of the time, outside of some of the most famous names. But yeah, looking at it, they are right now standing as people that I've this is coming from the companies, of course, you know, the game developers that I've supported over the years, being probably the most laziest out of them all. Like, look at the format as it is. It's nothing new. New terrain, new story that will be pretty much just the same as ever. And I guess I can give them at least that the 7th generation, you know, the female villain antagonist and the battle that was going in was definitely something else. Like, you were in some other galaxy, some other cave, I don't know where you were, in some other place that was not anywhere related to Alola region. But that was kind of cool. It kind of had that little Metroid feeling to it. I don't know why. It's just, but at the same time, I kind of wanted more of that. Honestly, like, more of that. Just fucking go out of space. You know, everything goes into space. Let's be honest here. You know, coming from movies, you know, let's make games go into space. Thinking about it, because that part was like very interesting. How Guzma was confused and how the main protagonist. The woman basically wanted to, you know, fused with the Mega Pokemon and with the Beast Pokemon, and basically that was just, it was cool. Those moments were cool, and then you would come back and be like, yeah, you know, we kind of stay there. But yeah, you know, no, I'm not gonna get these games. By the way, I thought about it, but no. It doesn't hold my interest anymore, not like it used to. You know, I would like to say to my younger self, I am sorry, because my younger self always had this wish and this crave for new generation of Pokemon games, you know. But at the same time, that was all, you know, to it. And that Pokemon is just, they should have risked a little bit more. But then again, they don't have to, you know. So it's, you know, it's hard of a gamer sometimes. You kind of want something more, something interesting, something risk, you know, but they cannot afford to. Well, they can afford to risk, but you know, there's other you know, factors involved, like their promoters and the people that made the console, of course, being Nintendo, that is looking, you know, over their shoulders basically, and probably make some big decisions as well. I really wonder who made the trial decisions. Was it really Nintendo, or was it Game Freak? Because Game Freaks are the developers. I'm not too sure how much influence Nintendo has over their decisions on game making. But in either case, what can I say? You know, Pokemon is Pokemon. I didn't expect anything crazy. But then again, I think that we are getting Pokemon a little too soon for our own good. Like, it's only been a year. You know, when the new games come out, it was only a year. Like, that's already crazy. And the whole idea, you know, it's always like this. It becomes like a, you know, like you get a cake, and then you get the same cake after, you know, a year, but with an added, I don't know, like added cherry on top or something. You know, it's like, wow, incredible, revolutionary. My God, I would buy this cake again. It's like, wow. When you want to have that cake with the cherry already, you know, you don't want to have that little it's like a standard version and then an extended version. I swear to God, now that I think about it a little bit more, Pokemon games are like add-ons. Like, you have the original one, and then you get an add-on like later on, you know, a year later, and then after that becomes a new version, and then they have like an add-on. Then maybe like a remake, which I don't think they will do. I mean, why would you remake a DS game? I mean, the graphics was a huge jump from the 3rd generation, so I can see why they remade the 3rd generation. But honestly, I still prefer the 2nd generation graphics. I will always be that, you know, that old school. Something about the gameplay, something about the graphics that just, you know, 1st generation, 2nd generation, that just, even 3rd generation graphics, they just collide well together. They just blend in. But anyways, that's it for me. How do you guys feel about the new generations? I mean, not the new generation, but these games that are coming out. Even the names are just freaking bland. I mean, UltraSUN and UltraMOON. I mean, I understand the whole Ultra idea, but, you know, Ultra Beasts, but still, it's, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Let's Plays are happening, and with that being said, till next time, take care of yourself. Peace.